All right, welcome to Online Tax Sales, the Internet and Why Now. Let me be the first one to apologize for yesterday's webinar debacle we had. We are absolutely switching webinar carriers right now. Yesterday was a nightmare to connect our audio bridge. I tried numerous times. The phone line was crazy, but either way, guys, again, I'm excited that you tried to get on. Again, I do apologize. We'll get those free trials to tax lien training site out to you here. But before we did that, I definitely wanted you guys to take a chance, listen and watch the replay. I think it's going to be better this way as well. I did do some more research today. I found a few more counties that are actually having upcoming auctions. So we'll go through this. We'll go through the online tax sales section. We're going to go through, talk about a few basics of tax liens and tax deeds. Really what your options are as they relate to either passive income or property acquisition. Those are really our two options. You'll hear me talk about that quite often here today. But again, I'm excited you tried to get onto the webinar. I'm excited again to be here with you today. Anytime throughout this presentation, feel free to press pause, stop it, and call our office if you have any questions. Again, I do talk I talk fast. I'll just put it out there. So again, I think it's going to be more advantageous for you to pause it if you need to. We're going to go over a lot of information, but please, if you have questions, call our office, 866-243-8877. Again, 866-243-8877. All right, guys, let's jump into this here. Okay, so basically the point of today's webinar, not only is it to show you some live examples, some properties that were sold yesterday, so you can see some of the deals that have been sold, but you can also see some of the upcoming deals, obviously in Florida. Right now, Florida is one of our favorite markets to invest in. It was one of those hyper markets, and we'll talk a little bit more about Florida here in a second. Okay, all right. My name is Skyler. I work directly here with Tax Sales Solutions. I've had the opportunity to be a national trainer for some of the largest seminar companies in the nation. I've taught thousands upon thousands of students how to get started in tax liens, how to build a successful business in tax liens, and really how to diversify. I think that's really the key here, and I see a lot of that lately, especially in some retirement accounts or retirees, if you will. One thing I specialize in is self-directed IRAs. If you have a retirement account, an IRA, KEO, 401k, any type of retirement account out there right now that's not getting a consistent 16 to 18%, call our office and be more than happy to talk to you, go over what solutions are available to create what I call a truly self-directed IRA. That gives you full checkbook control over where your retirement funds go. It's a pretty cool gig. Let's kind of get into the history of Tax Sales Solutions really quick. They were established back in 2007. That's how I met them. Was working with seminar companies. They've worked with seminar companies for the past 5 years, and we are the product and fulfillment provider for some of the largest seminar companies in the country. Me personally, I got a little burnt out of the travel. The thought of getting on another airplane and sleeping in another hotel, even to this day, makes me sick. And so when I found Tax Sales Solutions, and then when I had the idea, I guess, to really start doing some online marketing and bringing the solution to the students directly via the internet, I thought it was a pretty cool gig. And I'm excited to be here, like I mentioned before. And again, the internet, it's not only revolutionized the way that we purchase tax liens and tax deeds, but it's also revolutionized the way that you build an online business. And again, it's all about information and it's all about data. And we'll show you guys how that works here in a second. So the truth about tax liens, fact versus fiction. Which type of investment would you prefer, or what type of investor would you consider yourself to be? I believe with tax foreclosures, I guess that's kind of my niche saying or my niche slogan for tax sales. It brings you down into one of two categories. Again, I like to simplify this as much as I can. Again, most people know about tax liens and or tax deeds. But when I was in a live event, and if I asked in an audience of 100 people, how many of you have heard of tax liens and or tax deeds before, the majority of the audience would raise their hand, because most of us have seen that late night infomercial, numerous late night infomercials. Now, the next question as that follow-up would be, how many of you have actively purchased a tax lien and or a tax deed? And out of a group of 100, maybe one or two, depending on the market, depending on the state, would actually say that they've followed through and they've purchased a tax lien and or a tax deed. So when we look at tax foreclosures, understand something. With tax liens, the main reason why we're getting into tax liens, when you buy a tax lien certificate following our system, we're simply looking to get the interest. We're going to buy tax liens that we know we're going to redeem. We're going to buy tax liens that we know we're going to get the interest. The second side of this is tax deeds, which would be property acquisition. And again, we're going to get into some live examples here in just a titch. But again, property acquisition is tax deeds. And you'll know a little bit more about how this would relate to you and your business, hopefully here at the end of this presentation. So what are your options with passive investments? Passive income is pretty self-explanatory. This would be, income over time, or income or generating income on a residual basis. Now, let's take a look at what our financial institutions, or our financial, I call them casinos actually, are willing to pay us on our money right now. Now, savings account. Savings account right now is willing to pay you 0.5 to a whopping 1% on your money. Okay, now this right here is a money market account snapshot, and this is a CD snapshot. I actually pulled these off of the I think it was bankrate.com. In fact, that's what it was. Bankrate.com. These averages are recent, within the last week. Let's see here. I mean, on a money market account, the average on a money market account is about 0.5%. I know this is small, but if you can squint, you can see here on a money market account, a jumbo money market account, the most they're willing to pay you is 0.57%. And it's even crazier here on a CD. My little joke that I like to say is, who knows what CD stands for? Most people know certificate of deposit. In my opinion, it's an absolute certificate of disappointment. And we can move over here and you can see why. I mean, on a 3-month IRA CD, you're looking at 0.26%. Even on a 5-year IRA CD, they're going to give you up to 1.18%. And they want to hold your money, by the way, for 5 years. And they want to pay you just a titch over 1%. And the crazy thing is right now, there is a lot of financial institutions, your JP Morgans, your JP Morgans, your Bank of Americas, your trusts, a lot of financial cats from Wall Street are investing in tax liens right now because mainly they're guaranteed and they're backed by real estate, or they're collateralized by what's called a non-movable asset, okay, which is a property. Now in tax lien certificates, when you purchase them, the way we're going to teach you how to do it, you're going to get 10 to 25% guaranteed every single time. Because again, our purpose here, the reason why we buy tax liens, is to get that rate of return. Okay. In fact, tax liens are secured by real estate and regulated by state laws. Okay, state laws, and we're going to break that down here in a second. But before we do that, I thought it was beneficial here to go over and kind of let you show you, or kind of go over a passive investment example, if you will. I used $5,000 as an example here. I believe, everyone in their lifetime at one point or another has had at least $5,000 to invest in some type of vehicle. Now, I'm going to use 30 years here as a term. Now, you don't have to wait 30 years to get your return on your money, but I wanted to show you the power of not only investing in tax lien certificates in different states at different interest rates, but the power of what we call compounding interest. Now, again, this is obviously my miracle bank, right, at 6%. No bank right now is willing to pay you 6% on your money. It just doesn't exist. But let's take a $5,000 investment, and let's say we did find a miracle bank at 6% that was willing to pay us on our money. Okay, over 30 years, they wanted to hold it. That $5,000 would turn into $29,000 at the end of a 30-year term. Okay. Now let's take a look at a state like Arizona. Arizona is one of my favorite places to invest in tax liens. We've got Maricopa County down there, which is the Phoenix area. Phoenix is a little bit like Florida. It was one of those hyper markets. Now, about 3 years ago, it was pretty bizarre. If I went to Phoenix and if I was doing a bus tour down there, what was bizarre is that you would actually drive into some neighborhoods in Phoenix or surrounding Phoenix, even in Scottsdale, Glendale, and it was like an absolute ghost town. We're talking $500,000 to $1 million homes and on completely empty streets. Cool thing about Arizona is, again, there's 16%. We're going to talk about what a redemption period is here in just a second. That is the time the homeowner has to step up and actually pay their property taxes. Okay, so the county's going to give them a little extra time. Now, let's say we were able to take that same $5,000 investment and invest it in a state like Arizona at 16%. Now, again, this is compounding interest, meaning that we're going to take our money, and once the tax lien was to redeem, we'd reinvest it and reinvest it and reinvest it. So, again, $5,000 in a state like Arizona at 16% interest over 30 years comes out to be a little over $429,000. Just a little bit better than what our Miracle Bank is willing to pay us at 6%. Again, it's all about your perspective. You got to kind of change the way that you look at the investment world here. Florida. You're going to hear me talk a lot about Florida here today. Love Florida. Jersey pays 18%. Illinois pays 18% as well. Nice little bonus about Florida, actually. Again, we're not always going to get 18% if we purchase them at an auction. We're also going to show you how to purchase them over the counter, so you can get a consistent 18%. But what's nice about Florida is that they're always willing to pay us a consistent 5%. They have what's called a prepayment penalty down there in Florida. So watch this, guys. $5,000 in a state like Florida at 18% interest. Now watch this. We only bumped it up 2 points. We went from 16% up to 18%. Over a 30-year term, comes out to be a little over $716,000. What's crazy about this model here, guys, and when you invest, again, when you follow a system, when you buy quality tax liens, we only went from 16% to 18%, but that compounding interest plays a huge role over a 30-year period because our money almost doubled. Let's get into Texas here. Everything's bigger in Texas. Now, Texas is what they call a redemption deed state. Don't want to confuse you here yet. But Texas does pay a 25% rate of return on their money. The cool thing about Texas is that it actually has, they call it a penalty rate rather than an interest rate. Penalty rate means that it's going to be an instant 25%. It's not going to be prorated. So again, as soon as that homeowner goes delinquent, you purchase that tax deed, you have full ownership rights of that property, and let's say the homeowner was to redeem 2 weeks after you purchasing that tax deed, you're going to instantly get 25%. If it is a homestead property, Texas gives them out to 2 years. But the cool catch there for the investor, they really tailor to investors in Texas, is after that first year, that 25% bumps up to 50%. But again, I didn't want to get outrageous here with the interest, but let's just take that 25% over 30 years. It does come out to be a little over $4 million. So this is a powerful model here, guys. Again, this is the power of passive income. I thought this was important to go over up front just because, again, we are going to talk a lot about property acquisition because that's about 90% of the students that I work with are about property acquisition, building a successful real estate business, what you may. But I believe once we have a little bit of capital set aside, it's definitely advantageous for any investor to put together some type of fund, such as a self-directed IRA, and just let this money grow. Obviously, it's tax deferred. So tax liens are just one of 3 property tax enforcement systems used in the United States. Let's talk about property acquisition. What are our options? Okay, property acquisition would mean your average real estate investor. Okay, now we can go down to a realtor, right? We can pay market value. We pay commissions through a realtor. You can find deals. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't find deals through a realtor, and I'm not saying you can't find deals through foreclosures. But what I am saying is that through tax deed investing, you're going to find some phenomenal deals on the wholesale market at prices that just, it's a no-brainer. So we've got a realtor, we've got foreclosures or short sales. This is a big thing here. I actually thought about this. I was pretty proud of myself. His bank is a business. They're going to try to make as much money as they can, period. Again, there's millions of homeowners still delinquent on their mortgages that are still struggling to try to get some type of loan modification. So again, there's a reason why I call them financial casinos. Or for sale by owner, you deal with the homeowner, etc. Obviously, that one's pretty self-explanatory. If they're choosing to sell the property on their own, then there's probably a likelihood they've got a lot of emotional value in that property, and they believe their home is worth more than I'm willing to pay as an investor. So again, you're going to kind of transition into a wholesale investor type of mentality as we dive into government tax deeds. Okay, cool thing about a tax deed is that it's free and clear for the most part. We'll talk about some of the exceptions on that, such as Florida. Sometimes there's some HOA trying to creep in and collect on the new homeowner, but again, we don't need to get into the details behind that. Acquire property for 10 to 15% of market value all day long. This is where a lot of people, I get the stink eye from people when I talk about this in a live event, but this is true, and I'm going to show you some examples of properties that have sold within this threshold. The greatest thing about this as well is it's internet-based, guys. You get to do it from home. There are so many resources out there at our disposal right now that allow us to invest from home. Again, it's the information age. For us to make an educated decision on a deal, we want to make sure that we have valid data. comparable data, and have the ability to, again, get as much information about that property without physically having to drive around and looking at these properties, or going to the courthouse and having to do the work, and I say work, trust me, of going through county records, because they're not exactly the easiest to work with, county workers A, and B, they're just, it's a nightmare. Less competition as well. It's getting more competitive right now. I believe we've got about another 3 years before this really becomes mainstream and we start to see more and more and more investors coming in to the tax deed realm. And the county wants taxes only. So this, compared to the bank as a business, is huge to understand. The county does not have a mutual interest to get more money out of that property. All the county legally has the right to do, and all they really want, is their property tax revenue. That's it. So unlike a bank wants to collect as much money as they can because they're a business. They have, quotas or whatever that they need to hit. And we'll talk about banks here in a second, actually. So again, just understand, counties want taxes only. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about overages. Overages are great. Bid overages, this is the amount of money that is left over in a tax sale auction. I didn't want to confuse you. That's a webinar all in itself. But again, if you have questions about that, give us a call. Fact tax foreclosures, also called tax deeds, are properties that have been foreclosed on by the county due to delinquent taxes. And I'm going to break this down for you so this makes a little bit more sense for you. What are your options here with, again, tax foreclosures and or tax sales? Number one, property acquisition. Okay, so when you think property acquisition, you think tax deed. We are physically taking possession of the property. When we think about high rate returns, getting an interest on our money, I want you to think about tax liens. Okay, property acquisition, high rate of returns. You. Cute little guy there. New opportunities in online tax sales. This is our student website. This is our command center. Everything related to tax sales. We are one of the largest list providers on the internet today as it relates to tax sale lists. And also we've got the largest database of not only pre-sale tax sale lists, but also over the counter. Over the counter, really quick, simply means county inventory. These are the tax liens and or tax deeds that went unsold. Now, I'll break this down for you, kind of explain what's what. We've got the auction calendar, the training center. I think we've got a little over 100 hours of recorded videos available for our students to watch at any time, organized by specific subject. Internet auctions, so again, if you were just looking to attend some internet auctions, we've got those broken down by state and county as well. We've got a blog, and then obviously our coaching center. Here's a tax deed example. This one I believe was sold back in April. This one is in Norco, California. Norco, Corona. I bought a few properties out there. This is Riverside, I believe. I don't know, we'll find out here in a second. This property had an opening bid amount of $15,000. County taxed assessed value of $493. I don't really need to explain that more. You're on here for a reason, guys. Here's a Google map of the property. Again, I'm going to show you some live research of some typical properties, but again, I do talk a lot about Florida just because I see so many deals down there, but I thought it was advantageous to go over California as well. This one was being sold on an online auction platform called Bid for Assets. There's a few different platforms out there: Real Auction, Bid for Assets, SSR, I think it's SSR, SSI. Couple other auction platforms out there, but I'll show you doing some live research. Yes, this auction happened on April 25th. So again, opening bid was $15,000. I'm gonna need to look into this one and find out what it sold for. Can't quite remember, but this is important to kind of talk about too. Deposit required, $5,000. Now, thing about an online auction is that you don't have to deposit your funds into the online platform or the auction, excuse me, right away. The only thing that they want is about 10% of what you plan on bidding. So if you plan on bidding on a property up to $50,000, then they're going to want, $500. And same thing with $500,000. If you plan on investing that much, then they're going to want about $5,000. Now, let's say you don't win the auction or you don't get the property. They are very good about getting that money back to you quickly. Usually, if it's during the week, within the first 24 to 48 hours. Zillow, we're going to talk about Zillow. Zestimate gives this property a 524,000. I always get mixed reviews on Zillow. In my opinion, again, this is the day of the information age, being the internet. One thing that I love about Zillow is that they are data hogs, meaning that they're all about data. And as an investor, we want to find it and make sure that we have a few different parameters as we're looking at properties using resources such as Zillow or Trulia is another one as well. It's all about comparables. We want to know what other properties in the area are selling for. That's going to help us determine how quickly we can sell this property. We want to look at the history of the property. Now, this property looks like the Zestimate or the tentative, right? Such a good word. Tentative value of this property is 524,000. Back in the heyday, at the peak, it looks like it was worth close to $1 million. Guys, it is the wild, wild west as it relates to being able to pick up properties for what we're getting them for. And then you have the ability to look at the surrounding area, see what other properties are being sold for, and then also we'll get into some. Again, if you got a limited budget, we'll talk about your investor profile. We helped the student actually acquire a lot in a desirable neighborhood. I think it was in South Carolina or North Carolina. And long story short, picked up the property over the counter from the county, out the door with a warranty deed, by the way, for right around $800. And this parcel was it was next to 6 other homes that were already built in the area. They took the property to its highest and best use, knocked on the first door in the neighborhood, and actually sold it to the first investor or the first homeowner in the area for like $5 or $6 grand. So again, doesn't matter your bank account. We can show you how to get making money quickly. Homeowner, 3 main players to the game of tax sales. Okay, we've got the homeowner, we've got the county, and we've got the investor. These are your 3 main players: homeowner, county, the investor. Now, the only requirement to be an investor in the game of tax sales is that you need to be at least of the age of 18 years old. In fact, you don't even need to be a U.S. resident. I'm seeing a lot of foreign investors coming in right now. I'm working with a lot of Canadian students right now as well. If you are a foreign investor and you're looking to invest in the United States and you don't have an entity already created, or a ITIN number is what they call it, give us a call. Be more than happy to talk to you about how to structure that, how to get applied for that. And just FYI, we help you, or it's encouraged to set up a business in the United States because it's easier to get the business EIN number versus an individual taxpayer ID. I don't know, the IRS just being weird about it right now. So anyways, again, foreign investors, Canadians, wherever you're from, we work with some Australian, New Zealand investors as well. Anywhere in this country, guys, if we own a home, we own a piece of property, we have to pay property taxes. Okay, cannot get away from paying property taxes, period. Let's talk about the county property tax system. Okay, we've got again our property owner. Let's call him Joe. Joe, when he pays his property taxes, he pays it directly to the county. Once the county receives those funds, they are going to use this money for the upkeep of their community. Okay, our policemen, our firemen, our road construction, our public transit, you name it. One thing that hits home for me here is obviously our public school system. I've got 2 daughters. I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and all I'm hearing about right now is school and how excited they are. I'm excited for them. But as I traveled, like I mentioned before, toot my own horn again, I guess, different parts of the country it was more prevalent than others. But as I'd ask who here knows where the quality of the public education system is right now in this country, and for the most part, for most people, they understand that it's in the toilet, and it's perfect reflection on our current real estate market. If we didn't have penalties, if we didn't have a reason to pay our property taxes, if the county didn't threaten to take away our home, then we would not be able to have education system. We wouldn't be able to pay our teachers. And again, this is a perfect example why our classroom sizes, I believe, are getting bigger and bigger, and still our salaries for our public school teachers continue to dwindle. My father was a teacher, my sister is a teacher, and I initially wanted to be a school teacher. But again, here I am getting to teach you guys. So again, it's imperative. We've got to take care of our community. The county needs this money. Oh yeah, if you want to know about Detroit, call me or just Google it. There's so many articles right now about Detroit and where they're at. All right, guys, so it pays for the local services. So property tax basics. I'm going to run through these quickly because, again, I want to get to some live examples here. Understanding how property taxes are issued and enforced is essential to getting started. Federal law versus state law. We mentioned this before. A couple federal laws: federal income tax, Social Security tax. The second side of this would be state sides, or excuse me, state laws. Lower 48 is what we called it from Alaska. State income tax, property tax, and sales tax. Now, the county government is responsible for property tax revenue. This is their main goal. This is what they do. Again, this is how we're able to take care of our community. What happens if the homeowner doesn't pay their property taxes? A few different things are going to happen. Okay, if the homeowner doesn't pay their property taxes, the county isn't able to take care of their school system, their policemen, their firemen, whatever you may. Okay, Detroit is a perfect example of this. In fact, I just read an article. It really broke my heart. In Detroit, they're lacking so much in public property tax revenue. 911 operators. If you had an emergency, and if you have an emergency in Detroit, it's going to take a minimum of 45 minutes to an hour to not only respond, but if there's a murder, if there's a death in Detroit, they're actually taking that dead body and putting it into a vacant house and just lighting the house on fire. Crazy. It's weird. It's kind of scary, actually. So again, the counties need this money so they can take care of their community. County doesn't have the funds, again, to cover it. If they weren't enforced, nobody would pay them. There are three property tax enforcement systems in the United States: the tax lien system, deed, and redemption deed. We're going to break these down really quick. Every state uses one of three property tax enforcement methods. Blue is tax lien, red is tax deed, and green is redemption deed. And it looks like I've got yellow here, which is a combo. Okay, they do both tax lien and tax deed. Tax liens. If a property owner doesn't pay their taxes, the county will place a lien against the property for what is owed in delinquent taxes. Okay, now a tax lien does a few different things to the homeowner. Now, again, the homeowner can't sell this property, they can't loan on the property, they can't do anything with this property until those back taxes are taken care of. Let's break this down really quick. What is a lien? A lien is simply a legal claim against a property which affects the owner's ability to transfer ownership. So again, standstill. Until those property taxes are taken care of, there is no transfer of ownership of that property. Can't loan on it, can't lend on it, can't cash flow it. I don't know. You can't do anything with it. The party placing the lien utilizes that property. In this case, it would be the county as security for a debt or the repayment of a loan or other claim. Other type of liens out there would be like maybe a mechanic's lien or a sheriff's lien. Be careful with commercial property. We'll talk about that. We do, in fact, have a couple trainings on that, especially gas stations. They're kind of gnarly. But cool, right here. First position lien. This is our power play, guys. A tax lien certificate is always going to be in what's called first position. They are the first position lien holder above any other lien holders on the property. Yes, including the mortgage. Okay, we're going to talk about the mortgage. We're going to talk about the banks, but this is our ultimate trump card. We take precedence over any other lien holders on the property. The lien turns the property into security for the county's taxes owed. It also prevents, again, like I mentioned, the transfer of ownership. Okay, so taxes due, $1,000. They've got to not only pay the amount due in delinquent taxes, but they actually have to pay three things. They have to pay the interest, the amount due, and then sometimes there's some penalties. If we're late on our bills, usually there's a penalty associated with it, or an activation fee, whatever you may. Okay. Now, the county puts together a list. So how does the county collect the revenue on behalf for these back taxes? The county is going to put together a list of available tax liens and schedule a tax sale where it's going to sell the tax liens. So in this situation, we have, back in the day prior to the internet, it was all done in person. They would put a list in the local newspaper. You could do some research on them, and you would have to go down to the county. They'd hold an auction, and in a tax lien environment, more likely than not, they're going to bid down the interest rate. So if the interest rate starts at 18%, they're going to say who's willing to give me 16, 15, 14, etc., and down on. Okay. Now, to remove the lien, the property owner must pay all the delinquent taxes and penalties and fees. And when the owner does this, the lien is then removed. And a check is sent to the lien holder, usually within, I'd say, about 5 to 10 business days. You'll just get a check in the mail. thing about tax lien certificates is what's great is that it is passive. Again, you're just going to get that check in the mail. Remember, if you're investing from an IRA or a retirement fund, it's imperative those funds go directly back into your account. No going out and going joyriding on a new car. Not yet, anyways, especially if the funds are from that account. So again, property owner pays, bingo, bango, right to the county. County's going to turn around and write you a check because the tax lien's been redeemed. Now, what happens if the property owner doesn't pay the delinquent taxes within the redemption period? Again, the redemption period is going to range anywhere between 6 months out as far as 5 years. The average redemption period in this country is about 2 to 3 years, depending on the state again. Every county works different. Remember, there's about 3,200 different counties in this country, or township or borough, whatever they want to call it. But again, 3,200 different options. So don't get hung up on one county. I can't hit that home enough. So, former property owner, the county's actually going to foreclose on that property come the end of the redemption period if the property taxes aren't paid. Because again, oops, let's go back. Because remember, a tax lien certificate puts us in first position. So once the redemption period has expired, the lien gives the lien holder foreclosure rights. Okay, perfect. I was glad that we had that right there. So tax liens have two possible outcomes for investors. Number one, we're going to receive a high interest rate return on our secure investment. Now, I cannot stress this enough. When you follow our system and you buy liens the way that we teach you how to buy them, we're only going to buy tax liens that we know we're going to redeem. Now, again, the second side of this, if for some reason they don't redeem, you have the right to foreclose on the property once the redemption period expires. Here's the deal. We have what's called executing foreclosures and then self-executing foreclosures. I should have broke this down onto a different slide. If you need to, pause it, write this down. This is important to know. Executing foreclosures means that the county is going to initiate the foreclosure process, create that tax deed, and send you a tax deed in the mail, okay, where you can go pick it up. Self-executing foreclosure means that you are responsible for exercising your right to foreclose on the property, more likely than not through an attorney. You're going to build power teams, and we have a lot of training sessions on building power teams. Because again, your attorneys are huge. You're going to have a lot of attorneys on your power team, agents, other investors, buyers, etc. So again, depending on the state, and they're very, very full disclosure with you on that. Here's an example. I've got one of my coaching students right now. They've purchased roughly 30 tax liens in the last, man, they're rock stars, in like the last 6 months. And even in the last 6 months, 10 out of the 30 tax liens they've purchased have redeemed, meaning that they got their interest. All of those tax liens, by the way, were at either 16 or 18% because they were over the counter, and they were both in Florida and Arizona. And actually, one of them is coming up toward the end of the redemption period, and they now had a letter from the county saying that they have the right to foreclose. And now, in that case, it would be a self-executing county, so they're responsible to foreclose on the property. So they're kind of excited about that. Let's talk about tax deeds really quick. We're going to wrap this up, do some live examples. I want to keep this within an hour. States that use the tax deeds give the county the power to foreclose on delinquent property after the redemption period has expired. No liens are issued. Okay, again, there's no debt being sold. There's no interest. We are taking possession of the property. Counties foreclose on tax delinquent properties. They're going to wait that redemption period. That's the biggest difference. And then the county forecloses. The county sells the tax deeds off at a public auction to recover the past due taxes. Prior to the internet, again, it was a public tax sale. Same thing. They would publish the potential tax deeds in the local newspaper. Now, keep in mind, the homeowner does have up until the day of the sale to redeem, to go pay what was owed in delinquent taxes. So, redemption deeds. Redemption deeds. Redemption deeds are tax deeds with a redemption period attached to them. Following foreclosure, owners have a redemption period to recover the property. This would be Texas. Okay, this is what's great about Texas. You have full ownership rights. So keep in mind, once you go to a Texas tax deed auction and you acquire a deed there, you can start cash flowing that property as quick as possible. In fact, a lot of my students right now, just because of the cash on cash return, and I love residual income, I love rental income, if we have the right property management in place. Again, I don't want you to think, if you hear me say the old R word, rents or landlord, there's kind of a stigmata on that. But again, we're going to show you how to treat this like a business. Biggest thing behind that is that, again, you're not fixing the toilets, you're not going out to the property, because again, we're going to show you how to put the appropriate people in place to get the business going for you, if residual income is what you're looking for. But keep in mind, if you do occupy the property and they do redeem, just be prepared to move out. I have some students who actually buy deeds in Texas, and they'll rent them out, or they'll do like a tentative lease option with a clause saying that if and when this happens, or if the homeowner repays, etc. Redemption deeds, same thing. Counties foreclose on delinquent properties. Tax deeds are sold at the auction to investors. After the auction, a redemption period begins. During this time, the previous owner can still redeem by paying heavy penalties and fees. Texas is 25 or a 50% rate of return. Keep in mind, very, very rarely do I see it go past a year once it hits that 50% mark where they want to pay, unless it's a commercial property, which I have seen. Booyah. Let's talk about why the bank doesn't pay. Okay, guys, this is the last thing we're going to talk about in terms of, the lesson. We're educating you on this, and then I want to just get into the nitty-gritty and show you some live property examples. So, why doesn't the bank pay? I get this question all the time. A few different reasons. Number one, they are regulated by the federal government. Not as much as they should. That bailout plan that works so great, right? That was supposed to solve all of our problems. Just an absolute debacle. It's amazing to me. I can talk about the conspiracies there all day. But I do know this. I do know that the banks, they have a specific threshold that they have to stay within. Banks are only allowed to have so many performing versus non-performing books, or performing versus non-performing assets on their books, or else they risk losing their FDIC insurance. Now, last time I checked on that, it was 8-1, meaning that they were only allowed to have 8 non-performing assets on their books versus 1 performing asset. Again, anytime they get outside that threshold, they do risk losing their FDIC insurance, and that has created a new term we call zombie foreclosures, which is tax deed property. I think this is one of the main reasons why we're getting so many properties for cheap. A zombie foreclosure would simply be a property where the bank had issued foreclosure notices numerous times, 30 days, 90-day notices to the homeowner. The homeowner has evacuated the property thinking that the bank was going to take the home, and then come the day of the sale, come the day of the tax sale, no one purchased the property, the bank never stepped up to redeem, homeowner never redeemed, and or that property wasn't purchased. So there is still thousands upon thousands of tax deed property, considered also zombie foreclosures in my opinion, that are available for purchase. Again, 3,200 different counties in this country, guys. There's tons of opportunity. It's a house. It's a non-movable asset. People only need a few things in this world to survive, in my opinion. Food, water, and shelter. You know what I mean? So the opportunity is definitely there. Google zombie foreclosures. You'll see what I mean. There was a cool video on, I think it was CNN? I don't know. Oh no, it was Money Watch about zombie foreclosures. This is CNNmoney.com. I pulled this. This is Les Christie. Pulled this a couple months ago from there. Thought it was definitely relevant to what we're talking about here. And it says, with prices this low, lenders aren't looking to make money off of these deals. They just want to get them off their books. This is huge. Again, they have that threshold they have to follow, and again, they just want to write it off because again, they're also getting a tax benefit, and they're getting a write-off from the federal government. Imagine that. They're getting to double dip within that bailout money. Okay. Live county research. All right, guys, let's jump into this. What I want to do is show you first off recently sold deals from today. This was actually yesterday is what that's supposed to say. Today's the 31st. These properties I'm going to show you were sold in Lake County on the they were sold in Lake County on the 30th, yesterday. Okay, so where do we begin? I guess we should start from the beginning here. Let's go ahead and go to the student website so you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here. Let's go to propertytaxlist.com. This is our student website. You guys are going to have the opportunity to enroll in this today. If you want, auction calendar. Let's click on that. So you're going to get your very own username and password, obviously, and you're going to be able to log in. Let's drop in here. So we've got our auction calendar. This is probably where you're going to want to go to find out, what counties in the country are having auctions and when. Our staff does a great job of making sure that these are updated and also making sure that we know what counties are having auctions when, and we've got them also delegated by either a tax lien and or a tax deed county. Okay, now the county I wanted to show you here was the county that happened on the 30th, maybe it was the 23rd. It was Lake County. So all we do is click on Lake County, pulls us up to a different page here. You click on the Files Anywhere link. It's going to pull you up to a folder here where you're going to be able to download all of the online, that's the key, tax deed lists. You click on that, and it's going to show you all the counties in Florida and their most recent tax sale list. Now, I've already got it pulled up over here. This one is Lake County. Let's actually do this. Go to their main page, just like that. Okay, Lake County Tax Deed Sale, Clerk of the Circuit Court. So that would be www.lake.realtaxdeed.com. Click on the auction calendar. Okay, now again, this is July. They just had their tax deed sale yesterday on the 30th, and I wanted to show you a couple properties here. This property, most of you, if you've attended a few of our webinars recently in the past few weeks, the webinar platform, again, the last one was a nightmare as well. Again, we're switching, so don't even worry. This was a great property here, guys. This one was has a tax assessed value of 136. The opening bid on this property was 18.8. Now, it did sell yesterday at the tax sale for 130,000. Now, if we were to take a look at this property, what we're going to do here is, now, is every tax sale list going to be this easy to read? The answer to that question is no. This is why I love Real Auction, is we want to have the property address. It's imperative. In order for us to do the due diligence we need to find out about this property, we've got to have the property address. So really what this process takes, guys, is getting familiar with a few different websites. Most of you, if you're in the business or you're not in the business, or at least somewhat familiar with them, one of the big ones is actually, my first place that I always go to is Zillow. Okay, so go to Zillow.com, pull up Zillow here. We're going to paste that address into the search bar, and here we go. This is a fantastic property. Again, we see properties like this all the time on our tax sales. So again, if you've got the money, great property, a little bit more expensive. But again, if you've got a retirement account, could be a great cash flow type property. Again, this was a 4-bed, 2-bath. I know that this one was sold in 2005. Was the last time that it was sold. But again, great property. It has a Zestimate of about 182. Again, one of the quickest things that I love about Zillow as well is whether or not we want to go by the Zestimate or not, we've got 3 tentative real estate agents that we could just give a call immediately. If you don't already have Google Voice set up in a headset, highly encourage you to do that. It's one of the first things you want to do running a home-based business. Simply copy that phone number, throw it into Google Voice, and then you can be looking at this as you're talking to them. It doesn't matter if they answer or not. Just talk to someone so they can look it up and give you a guesstimate on what the value is. Again, no one really knows true property values, but the other cool thing I like about Zillow is, again, it's data. We can go back into the history of the property, see that this property sold for, back in 2005, looks like it sold for $229,000. Again, they picked it up for $130,000, $100,000 worth of equity, and I believe at its height it was worth about $317. Okay, now let's look at one of my favorite properties I found here. This one right here. Okay, now this property, again, it was sold yesterday in Lake County, Florida. The tax assessed value on this property is $41,000. The opening bid on this property was $5,100. So again, same thing. What are we going to do? We're going to copy the property address. Copy. Guess what it sold for? $7,100. Wait till you see this property. Wait till you see it. All right, here we go. And again, guys, this is what we do on our live training webinars. We hold weekly live training webinars as well for our students. Again, live county research. We go through and we do deal evaluation as well. Awesome. So yeah, Olander Street in Paisley, Florida, gives it a Zestimate of about $54,000. 2-bed, 2-bath. Go ahead and click on this property here. It's going to pull it up for us. See if we can't get a bird's eye look on it. There's our property, $7,000. You can pick up this property. Here's our street view. Oh wait, that one didn't give us a street view. But again, same thing. We can see some comparables. We can see what other properties in the area sold for. Here's our list of real estate agents we can get on the horn with if necessary. It was built back in 2001, so it's a pretty recent property. And it looks like this has got a pretty clean little title on it. I like that. So tax history tells you what we're at. Come down here. I guess they can do some home values in the area. You know, those are vacant lots. It looks like 36,000, 60,000, 44, 37, 36. So again, there's plenty of room to play with a property like this. What else I do? The next step to do is to jump on over here to Google Maps. In fact, I think I have that one pulled open. No, I don't. That was kind of a weird property, actually. That was in a different part of Florida. So same thing, okay? So what we did is we got our property address here from Lake County's tax sale list, took the address, threw it into Zillow to give us an idea of what's happening with this property. Then come on over here to Google Maps, paste it in there, search this bad boy, and here we go. Looks like that's our property. Go ahead and click on it. And let's zoom in here so we can see it. Awesome. So here's our property. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, decent area, decent sized lot. But again, guys, these aren't sexy properties. These are wholesale properties, $7,000. A deal like that, I personally would look into turning it into a turnkey rental property or a cash flow property. Because even at $7,000, Zillow will give us a guesstimate on what we could rent it out for. This is telling us $900 a month. I'll go down to 700 to make numbers easier. Guys, it's going to have itself paid off for in 7 months, meaning that after that, or excuse me, 10 months. I'm not very good at math. After 10 months, it'll have itself paid off. And the cool thing is every single month after that, it is cash flow, money in the bank, money in the pocket. And what's cool about that as well is that also count about 10% going to your property management company. But again, we've got property managers all over the country that we recommend our students to go to. Again, it's just an all-around solution. So again, that would be that's an example of properties that have sold. So this one shows you that it did go to auction. Third-party bidder purchased it. Same thing with this one. Third-party bidder purchased it. And when it says redeemed, like I told you before, tax liens, or excuse me, tax deeds the homeowner has and or the bank has up until the day of the auction to redeem that property. Okay. This right here says auction sold. It did sell. The amount was right there. Sold to certificate holder. What this would be a tax lien that happened at the end of the redemption period. This was an executing county. The county foreclosed on the property, again, created the tax deed because Florida's a dual state, and sold it and gave the certificate holder, right, the first position lien, the first chance to take ownership of the property without having to bid for the 1677. Okay, let's jump on over here. Now, let's back up for a second. I know that there were some cool properties. Is this also Lake County? Yes, it is. Okay, so this is a sale coming up in Lake County on August 6th. Here we go. This auction is happening August 6th, so that's in what, 7 days? Now, one thing that we do teach, again, there's a method we call the quick glance method. This is where, again, we want to stay within that 10 to 15% threshold. So if we're looking at this, we see that we've got a tax assessed value of $34,000 and our opening bid. So we want to make sure that our opening bid is going to stay within 10, I go up to about 20%. 10 to 20% of the tax assessed value. That makes sure that we have, again, tax assessed value usually is lower than any other appraised value or actual property value. And so it gives us some playroom and it gives us a good standard to go off of. So again, same thing here, guys. Take this, copy the property address, right click, bang, throw it on over here to Zillow, right click, paste it into Zillow, search. Again, all done from your home computer. Okay. Why isn't that pulling it up for me? 818. I just had it pulled up. That was the Canada one. Canadian Street. Oh, that's why. Sometimes this will happen. Be careful when you're pasting. This one right here, see the M McDonald was separated. If you simply just do that, hit enter, it's going to pull it up. Okay, so here we go, 818 East McDonald Avenue in Eustis, Florida. Come over here. We know that it's got a zestimate of $42,000. Okay, what was our tax assessed value? again, it was 32,000. Okay. What this is a little one bathroom. This would be a great little rental property, or even a great little fix and flip. There it is, right there. Zoom in on that if we can, right there. See if we can't get a street view directly from Zillow, and voila. Guys, again, all from the internet, all right here. Next step would be to, take a look at the area. What I love about, Zillow, this gives us a first glance look at it. For time's sake, we won't go over to Google and show you. We can take an entire virtual tour of the neighborhood. Hell, you can go all the way down to the local 7-Eleven if you want. Check it out. See if this is the type of area. Again, now Google Earth isn't always accurate, but it's always going to be accurate within about year and a half, maybe 2 years. From my experience, sometimes 3. But again, this is why we have real estate agents right here. They're beautiful little faces. They just want to talk to you. They want your business. Give them a call. They're here to work for you. They're here to help you, and get a good temperature on the market. Now, again, and the cool thing about the realtors as well is that they've got the eyes and ears on the ground. They know the people who have money. So if you wanted to do a quick sale with this property, you could. And they could definitely help you selling it, and then we can throw it down to the wholesale market if we needed to. Let's jump over here to one more county. I wanted to show you guys Citrus County, another county in Florida. Again, I got to this by going to their auction calendar and found this here. Say it looks just the same. It's hosted by Real Auction. What did I want to show you in this county? This auction's happening on August 14th. Again, 961 bucks, guys. Again, it's going to be an empty lot, but hopefully it's in a neighborhood. You'll see a lot of those. Which one was it? 3257 Canadian Way. Where was that one? Oh, right here. Perfect. Yeah. So here's our quick glance. Remember, 10 to 15% of the tax assessed value. The opening bid on this property is 2,900 bucks. The tax assessed value on this property is 32. So what we're going to do again, the old copy and paste. Booyah. Come on over here to Zillow. I already searched it earlier before I got onto the webinar. And so here's the property. I'll just show you guys again. Paste it in there. Sometimes we're going to put an additional 0 in front of it. So again, play around with the data. It's just making sure that we can find what we're looking for. Avenue. Booyah. Here we go. Right there. Same property. Not for sale, obviously, because it's a tax sale. Look at the bird's eye view. And we now have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath property that has a estimate of 45,000. Rent estimate is giving us 676. Let's drop that down to 400 bucks. After property management, you guys are still killing it on the cash flow, and this would be a great property for us to flip quickly. So again, getting out quickly, especially if we're picking it up. I mean, hell, the opening bid on this one's 3,000 bucks. I've seen properties like this go all the time for just the opening bid. In fact, Birmingham, Alabama just opened up their tax deed sale. Had a student who picked up a property for like 1,700 bucks, and it was a $60,000 property. She sold for like $12,000, like the first person who offered it to her. And then obviously we come over here to Google Maps. I right click in here. We're going to do a little search on it. It's going to get a little bit better view of the type of property we're working with. Again, it was a 2-bed, 1-bath, I believe. Yep. And yeah, so you guys are ready to rock and roll. So guys, quickly again, just for time's sake, I want to stay within under an hour. This is how you're going to research properties. These deals are happening right now. Again, they're happening, just coming up here in the next couple weeks. So again, get involved, get excited, and get ready to rock and roll. If you're ready to go out there and build a business, this is the way to do it. Again, we've got a proven system that works. So let me bring over my presentation here. All right, sweet. We are back, rocking and rolling. So again, guys, if you have questions, call us, 866-243-8877. Again, I apologize for yesterday, but we are moving over to GoToMeeting, and let's get into this. So here's the training offer, guys. This is the same program we've sold at seminars. I personally have sold at seminars for close to 3,000 to 4,000 bucks. You are going to get that. What you see here is what we call our home study program, or a home study kit. You're going to get an e-copy version of this. You get a link upon registration, which includes 5 training manuals. The first 2 are mainly important. That's our workshop manual and our quick start guide. Helps you determine the best starting point investor profile is imperative for us to be able to help you, because again, you got to know where you're going. You've got to have an idea of the type of real estate and or tax liens you want to purchase. So for those who do get involved, you get website membership, you get your very own username and password, you get 24/7 access to the site. Google never shuts down, neither do we. Again, I'm kind of a little bit of a night owl. I do most of my research at night. Most of most of my business is done at night. So again, I don't know why. That's just how I'm wired. And also, time is huge, guys. This is definitely not get rich quick. I think that's one thing that separates us from any other, tax sale education company, is that there's no fluff. There's definitely work involved, but it's all creating systems. It's all creating a way for you to save yourself time. As an investor, as a business owner, your time becomes more valuable than anything. And I see this quite often, where I'll have students who come in, they get really excited. A couple weeks goes by, the ether wears off, life happens. They've got soccer practice, they've got work, they've got whatever it is. They've got kids, they've got school stuff. Again, if you can dedicate a minimum of 5 to 10 hours per week, if you can attend our weekly webinars, our training webinars every single Wednesday, and actively call us here on the hotline, you will build a business, and we'll put you in a position to purchase a tax lien within the first 30 to 90 days. That's our guarantee, is that we'll put you in front of a property within the first 30 to 90 days. Now, part of that training guarantee is I personally haven't had to refund anybody their money that has done exactly what we've told them to do. Again, you're going to get out of this what you put into it. Seems to be the motto. Again, we'll help you. We'll answer your questions, and you have our 100% support. Guys, this isn't rocket science. Again, it's the information age. It's all about getting the information and making an educated decision. I think Jim Rohn said it best. He's probably one of my favorite motivation guys. Is he says, you can always buy yourself more money, or you can always get more money, but you can never buy yourself more time. One of the main reasons why most people go into business for themselves is to create more time. But what I see is that rather than them owning a business, their business ends up owning them. So we definitely want to get you guys away from that. Again, successfully 10 hours a week, we'll get you guys rocking and rolling. Okay. So here's the website, guys. Again, we have a few websites. We've got the taxlientrainingsite.com, secretsoftaxlientinvesting.com. Again, the training offer is $495. So one payment of $495, you get 6 months access to the website. So that is the website, secretsoftaxlientinvesting.com/training_offer, or call our office at 866-243-8877. So once again, guys, I look forward to talking to you. Please call us. Cool thing about this is that you're gonna talk to me. When you call the hotline, when you call the support line, I'll answer. Again, I wanted to be a teacher, and I love teaching this stuff. I believe in it wholeheartedly, and I'm involved in this stuff daily. So again, I look forward to talking to you. Give us a call. I'll leave this here on the screen for a few seconds, and hopefully, like I said, give us a call or shoot us an email. My email, I'm going to send this actually from my personal email. If you want, just reply back to this at Skyler@propertytaxlist.com. Again, that's Skyler@propertytaxlist.com. Again, guys, happy investing. Excited to be here with you. Again, I can't stress enough how excited I am. I guess I just see these deals. I showed you guys the deals. Call us. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a little bit. Until then, look out for another email from us for our next training webinar.